So Season 13 of Apex Legends introduced the most drastic ranked change we have seen in all of Apex. Inspired by pro feedback and the drive to tighten up competitive integrity of the Battle Royale genre, we saw maybe the most heated discussions between all Apex players in Season 13. My name is Flame078, the normal gamer, and it is my duty to discuss this from our perspective. I am not a pro, but I do love the competitive nature of this game. My focus is to help us normies improve, so let us review Season 13 Ranked, what it did right, what could have done better, and what just completely missed the mark. So without further ado, let's get to it. So for going well, really, I think my in-depth video previously that you see on screen does a lot better job of explaining all the nuances of what this system does right. I go into much more detail behind the new system and why the thought process, behind these changes and why they're so crucial. I highly recommend visiting that video. But in this review video, on a high level, let's just discuss the good things that Season 13 did right for Ranked. First off, it changed the way people viewed Ranked, and it forced them to play as correctly as one should. In previous social medias, I have discussed that this new ranked system really puts you into the mindset of ALGS players, or the ALGS mindset. Of course, right off the bat, I know you do not need to be a pro level player to participate in this new ranked system, but it gets you thinking correctly on how one of those high tier players think and allows you to evaluate correctly if you're moving in that direction. It properly balances placement RP and RP you get from KP. As you rank up, the placement is not as rewarding if you're not getting some serious KP, which gives players a ton of flexibility compared to, say, the ALGS format. So that's why I'm saying it's not totally pro skewed. It gives you a lot of flexibility. It rewards really aggressive players, obviously if they're smart enough about it, and it also rewards the super slow, smart endgame players who are stronger in the rotational endgame aspect of the game, but it also allows people in the middle, not in those two extreme playstyles, to find success in Ranked. Not only that, but with the addition of Team KP, it now truly allows support and anchor players to play the way they should be, instead of sacrificing their role just to secure that assist or kill to get KP to rank up, which was a common issue previous to Season 13. With the longer division RP thresholds and the rising entry costs per division, I think it does a better job of doing a proper rank distribution to separate good and bad players. So you can truly tell, okay, what's the difference between a Platinum 1 and a Diamond 4 player? What are the nuances that we're missing? In the old system, we just couldn't tell that. But again, I encourage you to watch that previous video. The details there are super important to understand, say, competitive Battle Royale, the reason why competition and skill matter in this new system, and how they play a part in Battle Royale. But to say that I'm completely happy with the new system on Season 13 would be very naive. So let's get into what they could have done better for Ranked. So to be upfront, when writing this section, I think objectively it's one of those things that has been a weak point in Ranked, and Apex in general, forever. But this new system in Ranked particularly made it just that much worse in Season 13. The solo queue experience was honestly just super miserable. I stated that in my other social medias that I would be happy if I got high platinum in this new system, because the new system just does a way better job of evaluating my skill. However, I would be remiss not to state that I do think that I thought I could make it to Diamond if I had a dedicated squad. But my personal journey of Ranked is a topic for a completely different video. So if you like my analytical breakdowns, hit that subscribe button to get me talking about my personal experience that fuels lose a lot of my objective content. Regardless though, I think the Apex community at the moment is honestly just terrible. And there's only one thing that could honestly make things smoother in this aspect, and that's communication. If the voice comms in Apex, say the game chat, was a lot better, and if the community had a way better habit of actually just using said communication avenues, games would be a lot better. Comparing my games where we just had communication with my randoms, where we were just talking, and those that were silent, it's a night and day difference how your experience can go. And that matters a lot, especially for us normal players, because honestly, it's all about consistency. So it doesn't matter if we only play an hour, but if we had an hour with comms and communication and you're going positive, even if it's not that much, the mindset is totally different. And Respawn can't fix community behavior. There's no easy, quick switch that they could do to make Apex players and the Apex community less of toxic people. But what they can do is a simple request that we all been asking, which is making ranked have the ability to queue up and solo queue, meaning that 20 teams are all random. The real struggle in the solo queue experience is that when you're in a disorganized party because of the whole random situation in solo queue and you go against 3-stack players, it's night and day. Like I said, it's very difficult to be very coordinated and to really fight against that, because again, the communication aspect that the 3-stack players have is such an edge. That one tweak would make this experience a lot better. But that's why I think when looking back at the system that they designed, what they could have done better is kind of really look at that, because it's not like the Apex community changed between season and season. This toxic behavior has been kind of persistent for a while. So if they were going to go this route of introducing the new system like they did, they really should have come guns blazing with a better way to alleviate solo queue players, because that aspect and coupled with other things make it so that what they missed the mark for season 13 ranked totally missed the mark and made the season 13 ranked experience what it was. And what that is, let's get into it. In that video I alluded to, I talked about an analogy comparing the old rank system and the new rank system. So let's just at a high level, listen to my metaphor real quick, my little symbolism spiel, if you will. The old rank system prior to season 13 was everyone had to run a mile on a typical high school track. And what season 13 did, the two changes that they did on their own, on the paper, right, don't seem that bad. One change was that they increased the 1 mile to 2 miles, which, okay, fine. And then they also changed the track. So instead of running that smooth circular 4-lap thing, it's like in the forest, a cross-country track or with hills and, muddy and all that stuff. Like things that would make it difficult. So like, say like, you weren't a great runner, but you could do it because it was easy. Now you would struggle. But like I said, again, those two particular changes don't make or break the whole situation. The problem was this kind of artificial goal. In the original 1 mile, everyone was kind of evaluated on if they could do it in 15 minutes or not. As long as you did it in that time frame, you were good. The problem is now with the changes, 2 miles, and making it way difficult and still expecting all people to run 15 minutes. Like, do you understand how crazy that is? But let's get less abstract and let's apply this to Apex. So the increasing to 2 miles, what does that mean? Well, they increased the division RP per rank. So now, say for example, now gold was 700 RP per division, which was previously diamond, okay? So that means it takes more games to get out of gold, similar to how it was in diamond. Yes, I understand, and listen to me here. They did compensate this because with the new KP system, the way you could get RP from kills and assists, which theoretically, and it's been proven, that you can gain a lot more RP, that the compensation was there. Like, okay, we did make it a little bit longer, but you can also expedite that process because now you're not as restricted as you once were. However, the rising entry costs and now the shift between the relationship of placement RP and KP really made it difficult for a lot of players to gain RP. What I mean is all these kind of micro changes, right? For a player in season 12, they were used to say get a 500 RP in a 3-hour session, right? I'm just giving really abstract numbers out here. That was your consistency that you could get. So normal players, what you could have done in season 12 and anything prior, okay, 500 RP, that's not too bad. Like I said, Diamond previously was 700. So if in 3 hours you can get 500 RP, then that means it will take you only like 2 days or so to get out of one division. So just so you guys can illustrate the pace of normal players and what they could have typically accomplished. But now, with all the nuances, the entry cost, you know, the length of each division, that same player now averages down to 350 RP in their typical 3-hour session. If you were calculating their speed, some people may not be fast enough for them to climb where they want to in the same 45-day period that they were accustomed to. And this created a false sense of I need to play more, aka I need to grind more, aka oh my god, this is just for streamers and content creators who can play 8 hours a day, because they felt, oh my god, there's no way I can get that much RP, not realizing that that wasn't the issue. But I can totally cover that later. That's not really the point, but it's just objectively the truth. People thought they needed to know life ranked, and that created a motivation issue. And that simply happened because they thought, I'm not getting as much RP as I used to, and I still have to get the same RP or more in the same 45-day time frame. With a motivation issue, the player base decreasing is a given, and decreasing the player base highlights the greatest pitfall that strict matchmaking creates. Now understand that previously in season 12 and before, Diamond 2 I believe was the threshold of backup when it came to Master and Predator players. This was loosened in season 13 for what I assume was to balance out the expectation, because yes, they knew they made it longer, they made it a little bit harder, so they knew probably less people were going to get a high up there, but we need to compensate that and we want them to get into matches, so they loosened it. But that expectation or that anticipation only would have worked if the same amount of players were still playing, right? They just thought, okay, all those players are still going to play, they're just going to be distributed differently. That's not what happened. People got demotivated, stopped playing, so the general player base of ranked got significantly reduced. And when that happened, you saw this gold predator issues, because the normal players stopped playing ranked because those with full-time jobs, families, etc. just felt like they couldn't participate in the system, again under false pretenses, right? Because I do feel like they could have, but they stopped playing regardless. Like, that was the issue. So regardless of what the motivation issue was for players, whether it because it was harder, they don't actually like competitive BR, they felt they couldn't do it in the 45 days, whatever it may be, whether it was, you know, like the new high effort is great, but the reward still sucks, so why am I even participating in this? It's a big ego stroke. Like, whatever. You had less people playing, and you had less people playing made it worse for the people still committed playing, because then golds were playing predators that we saw, because again, they loosened those restrictions. So what am I getting to? What is my point? If you were paying attention, if you were to increase something, a difficulty, right? You don't give them the same time constraints. You don't give them the same timeline for success. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm a firm believer that if Respawn just didn't do the soft reset, let season 13 play out fully in the original season 13 launch rank system, we would have saw a very different kind of story. Would some of the issues still happened? Of course. But I think the motivation issue that deterred a lot of players early on into season 13, way earlier than people were used to, would not have happened. It would not have been that drastic, and people would have been comfortable participating in the system throughout the season. Yes, I think matchmaking still would have been a problem, because obviously the rate those players climb versus normal people would not have been the same, but you know what? Those players had to deal. The high players needed to deal because you have to wait for everyone to kind of catch up and get to their proper ranks. So in summation, the system of rank that we were presented was a great change to the mode, and it has some room to improve, of course, but I think that not anticipating the demotivation issue and the fact they did make such a harder system but kept the same time constraints forced a bad experience for a lot of players. Us normal players need to feel that we can participate in ranked, and in Season 13, it felt that most of us couldn't. Competitive Battle Royale is not as enticing as people think it is, and they conflate the fun of Battle Royale with the expectations and how competitive should work. Sorry to tell you, but understand that only certain players are capable of fully grasping the concept of Ranked Battle Royale. Ranked is for everyone, but not everyone enjoys Ranked. My name is Flame078, the Normal Gamer. Thank you for listening and stay tuned, as now, with a little over a month into Season 14, we have to talk about the changes and answer, are we better off than we were in Season 13? Well, let me know your thoughts on Season 13, and I'll see you next time to answer that question. Adios.